Um, so you're welcome to this evening's class. Maybe I should make this light. I don't know if it helps. Do you guys
It's
prefer
okay.
this?
Prefer the dark one.
Okay, let me go back to it then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we go like this. So I want to first of all talk about what Git and GitHub is. So when you write Google Docs or your app, maybe you are using Microsoft Word, you know that you normally save your files as docx files, and many times they are saved on your laptop in a file, correct? So when you have that, you sometimes want to save it online. And I believe many of you know what Google Drive is. Okay, you know what Google Drive is, where you are able to have this um, folder that is online. Even if you lose your phone, you can always go back to Google Drive and get the files. If you are not used to Google Drive, well, it's a way of saving things in the cloud online. That's anytime we say cloud, I mean that's what we mean most of the time. Not physical cloud, but we mean that something is saved and on the over the internet. That's what we mean when we talk about cloud. Cloud. Okay, so GitHub is just Google Drive for code. That's what I call it. That's my brief definition of it. Okay, GitHub is Google Drive for code. And so this is, let me show you GitHub. So it's a very straightforward account, just the same way you create Facebook. You can go to github.com. Okay, so yes, this is two-factor authentication. It's very, very important because people steal everywhere, including code. Believe it or not, some cybersecurity breaches happen because of how code is saved. All right, so yes, it's very big deal. So I want us to understand what GitHub is, and then I will go ahead and show you how to save things to GitHub from your laptop. Okay. Um, so let me open GitHub and then introduce you to some of the very basic concepts of GitHub. So yes, first thing is a repository. A repository is of course, sometimes we used to use the word repo, R-E-P-O, okay? But if you check your dictionary, let me just browse it. Let me check the meaning of repository. Now, one of the reasons why I am going like this is because in tech, many things have a very factual, sensible meaning. Like, they look strange if you don't know English, but if you know English, like, should I say more than half of your problem is solved already. So a repository is a place where, or receptacle in which things are or may be stored. Like basically a place where things are stored. So that's what a repository is. In the context of GitHub, when we say it, every time you create a repository, you have created a place where you can store things online. That's what it is. So this is GitHub. Um, I'm hearing is are we all good? Everybody can hear me, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
so that is the first concept you need to understand: a repository. After you have a repository, then you can then save your code inside it. And then if you save your code, this is not necessarily a code thing. You can literally save anything on GitHub. You can save any file on GitHub and it's going to get saved. After you save it on GitHub, one thing that can happen is that another person from elsewhere can just download your code. Like I write code in Nigeria, I save it on GitHub, and somebody in Atlanta or US, somewhere in the United States of America, anywhere in the US. I'm just giving an example. It can be anywhere in the world, provided you have access to internet connection and you can access GitHub. Another person can download the code and it will organize it in a very similar fashion to how it was organized on your system. Okay, and one of the questions you may ask is, why can't we use Google Drive? Why can't we use Google Cloud? You can, it will definitely work, but it doesn't just store your code for you. It does a lot more than that, and that is where I have to introduce you to another thing called Git. Okay, I'll talk about Git very soon, but the point is that, let me show you an example. Which do I show you now? So this is a code. It's Java code that I wrote at a particular point. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this is Python actually. It's largely based on Python, right? And you see the folders are organized the way like I can carry this thing now to my laptop. The folders are organized in a very similar manner to how they are on my system. It doesn't scatter them. It doesn't just say, oh, this folder. But another thing is that it also helps me track changes, right? So let's go to Git. Git is a command line tool. I could even call it a software that helps us keep track of our code locally. All right, that's what Git is. So the command I asked us to type the other time was git dash dash version. Okay, so this is the Git version on my laptop. And while this helps you keep track of your code, it doesn't save your code on the cloud. It technically just organizes your code in such a way that you can keep track of it, and then you can also push to GitHub, which in turn saves the information in the order in which you are keeping track of it. Like as you can still see my screen, there are some things you are seeing here. These things are called commit messages, and it tells you at what point I made these commits. What does it mean to commit? When you commit a sin, it means you have done something wrong. All right. The idea of committing is that you have added the file to the tracking folder. Let me say it like that. You are tracking a particular change. So this, for instance, there's a file inside this sample files folder that I changed 5 months ago, and this was the commit message. In a similar manner, this happened 4 months ago. This happened 4 months ago. All these changes were pushed 4 months ago. So if I push something now, like maybe I still have this repo in my local laptop, and I push something now, it will show up here, and it will write the commit message and also tell you 2 minutes ago. Okay, so to make the point, one of the things I could do for us right now is to create a repository, let us have access to it, and then let's see how it goes. Let's call this. So I want to start from the top. Like, how do you create a repository? So I'm on github.com. You can see that I'm signed in. This is actually my GitHub account. Okay, so first things first is I will create a new repository. Okay, I'll give the repository a name. Otic class. Let's just call it like that. Otic class. So it keeps checking if the name is available, and yes, it is. I could describe it and do many other things, but I don't want to for some reasons. Okay, these are things I could add. I could add a license file. I could add a git ignore. I could add a readme, but I don't want to do all those. I just want to create the repository and show you something, right? But I think important thing here is you need to decide if you want your repository to be public. A public repository is a repository that other people can see, right? In fact, other people can download the code. You know that thing I said before, someone can download your code anyway. If you make your repository private, it is only visible to you. That is, you don't want anybody to see it. It's just between you and GitHub. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how to create a repository. Now, what is going to happen is I will create this repository, and I think you need to see how to do one more thing. So I've created this repository, but as you can see, there is absolutely nothing inside. There's nothing in this repository. One thing I could do in order to put something in this repository is to come here and just drag and drop a file. I can actually do that. It is going to work. But if you are writing code, you don't want to do that. You want to follow a particular pattern or structure. Look at what it said, uploading an existing file. I could click on this. Let's just try this so that you see how it works. Are you seeing this? So if I drag and drop a file from my laptop, it is actually going to work. Okay. Maybe I show my Finder, drag a file, drop it here, but then it will ask me to put a commit message. That's what determines those messages that you see, right? So when I actually do that, it will then it will populate it, and that will be how it's going to show up. So the next thing, what I would like us to do right now is I want you to take up. I will push a file to this repository, and I will ask you to clone it on your end. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So to push a file to GitHub in the other, not this way now, this drag and drop, it works, but that's not the way we advise people to do it. You need to follow these instructions. Okay. So you want to initialize a repo, and then when you initialize a repo, you add a file, you commit a file, create a branch. So this is actually a lot, right? But the idea behind this basically is that there's a difference between your local repository and your remote repository. We call this GitHub one the remote one, while we call the one on your laptop a local repository that keeps track of your changes. I'll send a longer video on this, but this is just GitHub basics. This is what it really is about. Okay, so since I was creating this thing, I think I already have a local repository. I think I do. Let me try to be sure. Okay, I don't have it. If you don't have a local repository, you have to follow this command. Git init. Okay. So it has created a repository, and you can see now that something is tracking all these files. The colors are changing. Okay. And then I want to do git add. What does git add do? Git add puts all your file inside the local repository. I will explain this thing in more details later. There's something there's some steps I'm jumping. Like there's what we call staging area, then before you get to the local repository and things like that. But I don't want to give you anything that will make you struggle with it. So first of all, you need to add it. Okay, put it in the staging environment, and then after that, you need to commit it. What I did was to do git add space dot, and what that means is put all the files in my staging area. That's what it means. Like get these files ready to be pushed. That's what it means. Okay, and then when I do git commit, look at this command though. Git commit -m, then I put my commit message. Okay. As you can see, I'm not thinking about this thing. It's already written here, so I'm not struggling with it. I'm just coming here, copy and paste. So if after doing it a number of times, it will enter your head share. So I will come here again. I'm creating a branch. I will explain what a branch is maybe tomorrow or so. Creating a branch called main, and then I want to connect this my local repository to GitHub. This is it here. Okay. So now they are not connected. You may not believe it, but you'll see what will happen very soon. So let me reload this page again. You can see that nothing is occurring. Finally, I want to push to the repository. That's what we call it. We call it push to the repository. When I push, you'll see what happens. Now it has pushed everything to this repository. I want to reload this page, and you'll see that all my code is now there. Are you seeing everything we wrote yesterday showing up here? So this is it. This is the code we wrote yesterday, and that's what is on my laptop. Okay, so this is how to work with Git and GitHub. I want to, let me send the link to you guys, and then temporarily I would expect you to be able to try and get this thing on your own laptops. Let's see if it's going to work. So what you are going to do is that you will type this link I just sent to you now. You will do something like git clone, and then you put this URL I sent to you on the chat. You can still see my screen, and anyways, the command is on the chat, so yeah. Please do this in your terminal, either on PyCharm or anywhere, and let me know what you are seeing. Yeah, this is like a task. I'm waiting for you to try it out in 3 minutes, okay? So this you have learned in these few minutes is basically how to use Git. Your introduction to Git and GitHub. They are not the same thing. Git is a command line tool, while GitHub is a software. It's a web app actually, right? That takes the code. So I can be using Git locally to track my code, and I don't push it to GitHub. It's actually possible to do that. So I will just be doing git add, git commit, and it will be recording my changes, but I won't have it in a remote repository. So often when you write code, you are advised to always use git push occasionally, so that you don't, like, why should you push your code? The idea is that sometimes you may be writing a file. I remember when I was in school, things are now advanced, but when I was still very young and we were learning computer at the time, there were these experiences where you were trying to learn something, and all of a sudden, the code, the thing that you wrote just wipes out because you did not save it. So they told us to keep pressing Ctrl S. So it's a very similar thing. You should keep doing push. So that's just the idea. Israel, how about you? Were you able to try it out?
My data connection is bad right now, okay. So it's not really connected to the system yet.
Okay, all right. Okay, no problem. But like I said, if this is not going to hinder your learning. Okay, so there's something I want us to do at the moment. That file that you took that you have right now, I believe you cloned it on your on this thing, like on your terminal or wherever. Like, was it PyCharm you cloned it inside or somewhere else?
Sorry, please. Can you put off? Because I'm hearing it myself. I'm hearing reverberation. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Israel, thank you very much. Okay, so what I was saying was to attempt writing. I want us to all try to do what we did yesterday now. Can you create a Python file and attempt writing some code?
All right, sir.
Okay, you said we should create a Python file.
Yes, on PyCharm. Let me know if you have any blockers to it. But yeah, that's what you should do. I want to see if we could do the same thing and proceed from there.
Okay, are we done with the Git?
I'm going to continue from where I stopped tomorrow. This Git and GitHub. For today, let me summarize what we have done. You now understand what Git and GitHub is. Then you now also understand how to take code from GitHub when it is public, Git clone, right? There's something I'm not expecting you to know all to it right now. What I just did, Git init, Git commit, Git push, all those things. I will talk about them tomorrow again, but again, you have seen it, you have been introduced to it. So we'll proceed from there tomorrow, and you will learn more about Git and GitHub.
The Git bash app, do we have anything to do with it?
I don't think so. Normally when you download Git, everything works as expected. Let's go. Please confirm to me when you can see my screen.
I thought you said let us open a file and print, do a code and all that.
Yes, please. Did you write any code?
Yes, I've done that.
Okay. Is it possible for you to share your screen and show us what you did?
Yes, sir.
Please, let me stop sharing so that you share.
I'm trying to remember the junction. I came here in your place. After S&T, there's one busy, around S&T, after Unibe, by the right, one busy junction, another like Kekeva. And what is the name of S&T? That junction, then who will the NEPA office? But we can drop with the junction, then trek to the NEPA office. Well, when we have to know, drop with the office. Here, we pay for drop. Well, I take also the junction. I be able to say, after Unibe, why the junction now? Where the very day, S&T left, the junction right, after Unibe. So, like, what's the NEPA office? Remind me if that junction is Ecosodi.
First of all, confirm you can see my screen.
I say again, hold on. I think Ecosodi junction is active. Who like a come here with the NEPA office? And that's all like
a
yes, I can.
The junction is by the right. The right.
Okay.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Okay. So can you run the code? I can see the result, but yeah, just try running the code. Let's see.
All right. So.
Awesome. All right. So now, why I did this was I wanted us to be practicing whatever we have done in the class, and then one thing you can do, you see this thing I just did where I created a GitHub account and then so a GitHub repo and then linked them together with my local repository and push the code. That is actually the next step I would be expecting you to do from here. So yes.
I lost you. I was not hearing you. You said
okay.
You see the thing you do where you create. Yes.
Yes, created a GitHub account, a GitHub repository, and pushed to the repository. I was saying that like the next expectation I would have is that you can push what you just wrote, like what you showed us just now, to a repo and share the link with other people so that they can clone your code or at least view your code. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you can do these things, like if you can push your code that you just wrote now to GitHub, you are well on your way to, like you have learned the basics of what software engineers or programmers do, generally speaking. You write code and you share it with particular people. Again, tomorrow I will talk about how to like how to contribute to people's code. So it's very possible that many persons are pushing code to the same repository, not only you. But to be honest, it's mostly easier when only you is pushing to the repository anyways. So yes, I'll talk about that tomorrow, okay? So yes, I think we can now continue with our class. And then another reason why I did this is that please, if you happen to be able to create a GitHub repository like we did, and you are practicing, keep pushing your code to the repository that you created so that you can share it on the chat with all of us, okay? So that's what I'm looking forward to. If you have blockers, again, please post it tomorrow evening. We'll look at the blockers or questions that you have. All right, so I think we are good to go now. We can continue our class. All right, so this is it. Try keyboard. Okay, so yesterday we stopped at data types and operators. I explained all the kinds of data types, and then I also showed us some operations, okay? The next thing which I want to do is to tell you about input and output, okay? So these are two very important functions. Later on, I will tell you, I'll give a function is basically a reusable block of code, not necessarily a line. A function is a reusable block of code. And so, for instance, when everything that we wrote yesterday, I can put it inside the function. But for now, just know that every time you see these two brackets close to something, it mostly means a function. I think that is clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's come back here. So I'm going to continue from what we did where we were printing. You could see that we were printing stuffs. Now there's something we can actually do. We can ask the user for information. Yes, we can ask the user for information. The way to do it is by asking for inputs. So these are the two important functions. Okay. So anyways, since we already know what print is, I don't think I need to waste too much time on it. Let's go to input. Okay. Let me take this code here. Now, so this is it. It asks the person, how old are you? The person responds, but there's something you will notice. It uses this int function, which is also a function anyways. And what does this mean? It changes the response to an int. This is because that every time someone takes an information from the console, it actually is taken as a string. Okay, so you need to convert it to an integer if you want to use it as an integer. But yeah, I don't think it will affect you if you print it anyways. I want to do something which is try to show you type of response. I want to print it. Yes, let's print the type of the response before and after. So say print yes, so then after again I also want to do the same thing. I want to print the type. So let's see if it is a string. Okay, so in the end, eventually I really want to see how old the person is. Okay, so this is the program I have written. Again, all these things are coming, so even if the computer can see it, it won't try to compile them as code because they are simply just comments. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to press play. It asks me how old am I, and if I say that I'm 13 years old, okay, it prints a string before and after. Oh yeah, it's true. I printed response instead of age. So let's do this. Age. Yeah. So let's run this now and see. Let's say I am 14. Yes, so when it came from the user, it was a string, and later, after I did this, age is now an integer. Okay, so eventually I print 14. Is this program clear? Do you understand what this program does?
Yeah, it collects information. It's like an input system for it's an input system that helps the developer collects information from end users and use it to either do something on the code line for the next action.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, believe it or not, I want you to know that there are some applications we call console applications. For instance, all those clocks that you see, they are kind of like console applications. They don't need a fine interface like your phone. So sometimes people, anytime they talk about tech, they always visualize building a mobile app, a web application, with fine UI, with HTML and CSS. But I need you to know that a lot of things happen with just something as simple as a console application. Right. So, for instance, those guys that do football, where you see the scores above, the programs for those things are written with something as simple as this, because you don't need a web interface to show that. I hope you get what I'm trying to paint here. Yeah, so that's actually the idea. So I'm just trying to tell you that console applications are like the fact that you're writing an application and it's only showing you the console is not a bad thing at all. There are some things that people do that are required to be console applications. So this is basically all there is with input and output. Okay, but I also want you to note, I think the next thing here talks about being able to print multiple arguments. Okay, in order to print multiple arguments, you could do something like this. Okay, I also think that it has to be a situation where it is a string. Yes, it has to be a string. As time goes on, I will introduce us to string formatting. It's actually our next topic, but I want to do something else first of all. This will not work. Syntax error because there's no comma. You can see my ID is already telling me that there's a problem. So let's remove. I don't think I need all these things anymore. So let's run this new program here. So Amy is the name, and then I'm going to say hello Amy. That's it. I think that if you do something like hello plus, we saw this yesterday, hello plus name is actually going to work. You just need to give your space manually. This is still going to work. If I remove this space, you can see that they will be joined together. You can see it, right? So that's the difference. Okay, so this is how to receive input from the user and then print output. When you print out things, it doesn't necessarily have to be from the user. It can be you just trying to see what you are doing. For instance, even when we build applications, sometimes we still use the print function to debug what is going on. We want to see something that is happening, so we also do that. Okay, so this is there's something important I want to teach. I don't think there will be another opportunity for me to do it. I'm looking at the curriculum now, so I want us to deal with it here. It is a very simple mathematical principle called BODMAS. Okay, let me write it here inside my comment section. BODMAS. In I think in the US it is said as PEMDAS. They're basically the same thing. Okay, so what this is the order in which computers understand or carry out operations. Now, why is this important? I don't know if I can come up with a very quick, straightforward example, but let's visualize something like 2 raised to power 3. I think that is 8, and then we then do something like plus 4 divided by 2. Okay, so let's not call it a name, let's call it num, since I want to give it something very realistic. Now I want to ask you a question. What do you think this num is going to evaluate to?
Okay. BODMAS, so you have multiplication before addition, division, away. Okay. So this is 2 raised to the power of 3, that is 6. 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. 8 plus 4, that will be it's supposed to be 6.
No, I think it's 2 raised to power 3, that's 8 plus 2, because the division comes first, and so 4 over 2 plus 8. 8 plus 2, that's 10.
Okay, right. So let's try and see who is right or wrong. There's a problem. Oh, I still have my plus. Let me remove it. It cannot add strings and numbers, so that's why. Okay, so the answer is 10.0. Now, this thing is very, very important. And like, even if this answer, I couldn't think of something more complex. Okay, but let me explain it to you that it's not as simple as it sounds. Let me do something like this so that will help you. So even in exams, I think this is the same principle you should use, but I believe that many people don't understand it. So that's why I am explaining it this way. So first of all, it checks for brackets. Is there a bracket? And there's none. So if there's no bracket, it looks for order, what the Americans will call exponents. Okay, so it looks for that. And then for our case, we actually have an exponent, and luckily for us, it is the first one, so we are good. It kind of does this guy first, right? It does this one, and for what we said, it evaluates to 8. Okay, then the next thing that it does is what I think many people don't understand or even believe, is that it starts looking for division and multiplication at the same time. Like the D doesn't come before the M doesn't come before the D. It just looks for it from left to right. How many of you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
It looks for it from left to right. So if I'm reading from left to right and division comes first, I will do it. If multiplication comes first, I will also do it. This is the reason why this PEMDAS and this board mass are the same. Even if the M comes before the D, D comes before the M, it still works because the idea is, who do I see first? That's actually the idea. Okay, so this is how the computer reads this program. Then the same thing happens to addition and subtraction. It does, is it addition I'm seeing first or subtraction I'm seeing first? The order doesn't matter. If subtraction comes first, it will do it. Right? If addition comes first, it will also do it. So this is why I gave these ones, spaces, and these two are together to say that the order for DM and AS doesn't really matter. The S can come before the A, the M can come before the D. Is this clear? Do you understand it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's fine. Let's see how to format strings. So the very first thing here is something we have done, so I will skip it, which is concatenation. All right. So using a plus to do it, I think that's very straightforward. Then this one is something that we have tried also. It's basically using the string. I want you to notice that, let me just paste it on my terminal. Maybe it will make more sense to you. Again, I'm going to clean this out. All right, so this person's name is Mercy. We write a particular string plus Mercy plus again, and then we put another string. All right, so let me print it out so that you can look at it. It's very long anyways. All I just wanted to do was Mercy, and look at all the long things that I did. So this is a very simple way. I think we've already done something like this. But there's one more thing which I need to introduce you to, and it is called F strings, right? Basically formatting strings, format strings, that's what it is. So it's a function or something that is used along with the print function so that we can easily format particular figures. Let me use this example, and then I will also use another example with a normal string so that you see. Again, I'll clean this out. Yes. So now, when we do 1/3, we all know that the calculator gives us this infinite number, 0.33333. That's what normally happens. Okay. But then, if you want to format it to 2 decimal places, this is how you are going to do it. You use the print function, put it inside a bracket, and then you will type F with it, right? When you type this F, you put your variable and tell it like, oh, please put it to 2 decimal places. Okay, this occurs when you do calculations with Python, and you want to format how much, how you want to round it off basically. So that's when we do this, right? That's when we do this. So this prints the first. Are you seeing this one is very long, while this just does 2F. I can take this to 3F. Right, so it's not 3. If I do 4, you see that it's now 4 decimal places. Okay. Of what use can this be? It's also possible that I want to deal with numbers with normal characters, like normal values. Maybe I'm doing something. Let me go back to that messy thing that it was before. By the way, I'm pressing Ctrl Z on my keyboard, Command Z. I'm using the Mac. That's what I'm doing. So it reverts back to what it was before. So yeah, it's a good, should I say, something that you should know. Using Command Z can take you back to whatever your app was before. Okay, so I want to do something like this to say that print F, where are you going? Let me see, where is, I then put this inside the bracket, name, going. Okay, let me press play. Are you seeing this? This is a very good use of the F string. So instead of that using that plus sign and all those things, I just get to write naturally, and then know that if I change Mercy, name is going to change. So let me change Mercy to Mark. Are you seeing where is Mark going? So this is the F string, right? And it helps you do some formatting when you are printing strings. Okay, so with that, I think we are done with our formatting with strings and everything. Does anybody have any question?
No.
All right. So I want to give us the assignment. Of course, there are many assignments here, and honestly, it would be nice if you can try all of them. But let me tell you what I want you to do in the assignment. The assignment is that you should create a Python file, right? And then do as many of these as you can. We have 1, 2, and 3. But whatever you do, please make sure you do these 3, because in my opinion, this is the simplest one. So I'm going to paste this body mass index on the chart as the assignments that everybody should do. If you are using a phone, I will send you an app that you can download. I think the app is PyDroid. I already downloaded it. Let me check. I will send you that particular application and you will see that it works. Yes, PyDroid 3. So just let me know if you're using a phone. I'll be able to guide you through on it. Let me send this assignment on WhatsApp. Please, whatever you do, make sure you do body mass index. Okay. How would you do the assignment? First, let me commit and push. Since we don't have any questions, I want to also tell you something about Git and GitHub. I was using the command line when I was working on it, but actually, you can actually use the UI to do whatever you want to do. Like we used to call it Git UI. Let's say you are working and then you have made some changes. There's actually a way that you could use this place. This is the second one, commit. If I click here, it will show me my file and it will make all the changes. In fact, if you have some AI credits, they may allow you, okay, I don't think I have AI credits, but the idea is that you should write your commit message here. Let's say changed file, whatever. But the idea is that commit message should really model what did you do. That's what you should write here. And I will click on commit and push. If I push it now, the file on GitHub is going to change. I think I still have it open. I need to do some things here that will stress me, but I don't know. Hope it doesn't stress me too much. This is for security reasons anyways. So I need to log in through GitHub. Log in through my browser. So if you have these kinds of challenges, just let me know, because sometimes it can be very frustrating. I think it's easy because I've kind of configured it before. They are trying to check if the person pushing is the same person that owns this laptop, and all those kinds of things. So you look at just one line that I've changed. Look at, there's a green line here, and it's telling me that you have made a new change. So that's what Git does. It tracks the changes that you make. Okay. If I go to the GitHub for repository, remember what we did before? It has first commit. Let us see what will happen now. All right. I'm waiting for the commit message. Are you seeing changed file? Right, because intro.py changed, but this idea folder did not change, so you still having first commit, and this happened 1 minute ago. So that's what Git and GitHub does. It helps you track changes. Okay, so what I expect us to do right now is that you create a pure Python project on your PyCharm, you create a file and calculate body mass index, then create a Git repository and push to it. That's what the assignment is.